Alright, so today we have controlPriest as our yellow trunks, the Roman player in the top side of the map, and in the bottom side of the map, the green trunks, the Greek player, Grifta, renamed from Mr. Grifta. So yeah guys, just casting a little game here between the fellas. controlPriest probably needs to transfer these guys across. Start getting that. Yeah, no, he's doing it now. It's all good. Get that hunting dogs if he can. Yeah, he's going to squeeze that in. Grifta probably could squeeze in the hunting dogs as well, but he's opted not to. controlPriest, being Roman, actually had to gather a bit of extra wood to be able to, because they don't actually have 200 wood to start. Greeks, on the other hand, they do have 200 wood to start, so they can afford double storehouse hunting dogs. You don't necessarily have to go for the tech, but basically every build order other than one involving fast barracks can afford to go for it, so you might as well. It's pretty much my opinion on it. Like this though, this is a good spot to have it. That storehouse there from controlPriest. And you'll be able to get on the berries, get good stone gathering, and get the berries closely from the town centre anyway. Like this two from Grifta, pretty much the same deal there. So both these guys are going for a fairly passive 3 storehouse, fast Bronze Age, fast town centre opening here, I think. And well, be interesting to see who looks at making the first move in terms of picking a fight, but well, Greeks probably have the age 2 aggression advantage because they've just got straight up a better anti-infantry comp, and Romans are fairly infantry centric in age 2. The cavalry options and ranged options are pretty limited, but in age 3 I think things really reverse, where Romans suddenly they've got a lot of anti-infantry and anti-ranged, and a couple of good options to do it in both cases. So, and they also get access to more cavalry themselves, because they've only got officers in age 2 through the Decurions as cavalry, and so they'll mainly have an army based around their legionaries. Greeks, being an age 2 bowman civ, they've got Hypaspis, they're anti-infantry infantry, and the Toxotes, which is their bowmen, so they can really just build a nice big army of that and push if they like, or even take things to age 3, hit and run with their own stables units, Sarasophroi, which probably don't fight all that well, but encouraging spearman production from the Greek player, and yeah, hitting and running around the map is beneficial for them. From the Roman player, sorry. So yeah, both players taking a fairly distant, fairly greedy, well, not super distant in controlPriest's case, it's a little bit safe for him, but fairly nice, greedy second town centre here. We'll be able to control quite a few resources. Grifta, be able to cover that gold mine just with the town centre fire, but it'll be really easy, you know, garrisoning villages from there. And getting all this food, stone, wood. Same deal here with controlPriest, access to a couple of hunts. Gold, stone. Gonna throw down a Praetorium versus a barracks from Grifta, so both these players probably taking a fairly sort of standard approach to this, where Roman going to go try get some quick harass out with the Decurions. Greek player going to have to field some spearmen before they can field some Hypaspis, which means the legionaries come to be better value, and it means that that extra food and gold being spent on Hypaspis after the spearmen means the Toxotes come in a bit later, so it'd be good of controlPriest to force them out with the the only age 3, only 3 pop age 2 unit on the land. So, real beefy boy. So Control Priest has seen Grifta's second town centre and his production facility. Or Grifta. Sorry, or Grifta has seen the second town centre, but he hasn't actually seen any of the production there from Control Priest, so he's a bit unaware as to what's going on. For all he knows, it could be double Praetorium or double Castellum. It'd be interesting to see where Control Priest looks at hitting first, considering this hunt's fairly safe, but this one's a little bit greedy. Decurian's probably just going to check the original hunt, which is not the best idea because it tips off your enemy as to where you're going. If you're hitting this late, and you know he's got, guarded stuff over the other side of the map, maybe just come past here and then just check in here, put the pressure on. But in saying that, it does mean Control Priest can possibly circle around to the wood line, and he is going to force Grifta to have to defend the wood line. So Control Priest hasn't quite seen what's going up here. Actually, he's going to ignore that and maybe try and wrap around to the second town centre. Let's just park these here for now. So he is going to try and push coming past, but there is spearmen there, so he is going to run away. And maybe now he can look at pushing up, because Grifta behind this has managed to get slightly ahead in terms of army production. Villager counts are equal though, at 34 apiece. Grifta even using his military to take down these boars. Fairly nice spot because he can just put a storehouse there and gather the boars and that berries pretty quickly. So Control Priest adding some more Decurians now, but he sort of cut production of them for a little bit. I think he was housed. He's stuck on 36 villages now to 38 from Grifta. He has got the age 3 in on the way. He is already getting himself ready to have the stone and the wood for an age 3 town centre, so that's really nice to see from him. Grifta going for a fairly tech and unit oriented age 2 here. He's got 4 production facilities and that academy. Oh, there's already 5 Castellums out. So the Roman player really making use of the engineer for that increased build speed. He's got 3 of them, and he's even got a villager building stuff. Grifta looking to try and push out. Control Priest going to get a bit of prior awareness, but he is going to lose his scout for it. So if Control Priest can get that conditioning upgrade out, I think he's going to have enough to be able to take this fight. Considering that's a lot of spearmen and there's not a lot of Hypaspis in the mix. Ooh, Control Priest needs to get these villagers circled around and out of the way, and maybe look at trying to pick off the units on the edge here, or trying to just rush the Toxotes because there's not a lot of them, and once they collapse, I think he's going to have a bit of an army advantage here. Grifta is up by about 20 population though, so he's got a bit more in the queue, and a couple more gatherers at the moment. Control Priest's been struggling to produce villagers behind this. He's been panicking a bit, overqueuing the legionaries, I think, but in saying that, he's got that fast siege workshop out. He's got upgrades on the way as well. So yeah, it's got scale mail. And at the moment, ooh, wow, that's a big Toxotes ball. Maybe going temper first and then shield rim, it'd even be better for him, because even though it's a fairly hefty melee army, there's plenty of Toxotes in there to support it. And I mean, as long as the Decurions don't get snared by the spears and just latch onto the Toxotes, that Decurion's pretty low. And you can pretty much just rely on your Legionaries just collapsing on top of these spearmen and killing them instantly. That would have hurt a bit, that Decurion. Really low. Grifta getting his own age 3 behind this, but while he's waiting, there's going to be Ekis and Scorpios being added here. So it means controlPriest can get a slight compositional advantage and look at taking a fight here, even with a slightly smaller army, I think. But he needs to be careful and maintain the village production, keep the houses flowing, keep building them. So at the moment, he's just struggling to maintain production to keep up with Grifta at the moment. Getting housed really slows you down. But his composition looks great. And Grifta's going to have to start adding some cavalry and try and deal with the Scorpios. Even though he does have this really nice Toxotes build, that's a lot of units engaging on it, so he is going to have to try and micro that back. If the Scorpios can get some good shots on the groups of Grifta's units, they can really be devastating here. So controlPriest, he's got upgrade advantage over Grifta at the moment, I believe. Oh no, it's pretty much even. Grifta does have both damage upgrades. It's a lot of low units and not a lot of a front line, but these Scorpios, if they can't get out of there, they can really shift the value of the fight towards Grifta. But I think they're walking away pretty much even there. In fact, I think controlPriest is actually caught up a bit in terms of the population. Grifta needs to look at getting his unit production out. His controlPriest has got a fair few units on the way. His problem's building houses, but if they're just backing out of an engagement and he's able to slam his production keys faster, then he's actually got a bit of an advantage here, because I think he's got a nice composition to engage into this fairly messed up, merely light composition from Grifta here. I mean, there's still a good number of Toxotes at 30, but there's nothing really here to defend them. There's like 10 infantry. And I mean, if the Scorpios can get some good shots on those Toxotes, man, it can be over here, because there's like 5 of those things. So controlPriest trying to get his age 3 melee damage upgrade out. I think he's just going to look at taking the fight here, as long as he can get some of those Ekis round the back onto the Toxotes, and he's doing a nice job of it here. Grifta in a spot of bother, but Grifta at the same time does have units streaming in. I'm not sure if it will be enough though, and he is going to have to back off ultimately. He is going to kill a lot of the front line here of the Roman player, but he is going to have to re-rally, and he's going to add Prodromos, a fair few of them in the mix, which will be really nice. He'll be able to snipe the Scorpios. And he's really played a bit of a greedier base layout, but it means he can actually take even a defensive market if he wants, and funnel the caravans up to this topside town centre. So Grifta sort of thinking a bit more long term in terms of his town centre positioning, while at the same time controlPriest has got a really defensible base here. So even if he gets pushed back here, he can just hunker down like he did at the start and wait to push out himself. So the Scorpios at the back so far aren't really running into any trouble, but now they are. Here we go, the Prodromos are starting to engage on them. This means controlPriest is losing a fair bit of damage every time he's got to pull them back. Not doing too badly actually. And he actually is doing a pretty good job at microing because he's still got two of them alive there. And Grifta's army is really starting to fall apart, and he's just got these garrison that have just retrained, but right now he's not much further ahead in terms of the population. He does have that eco advantage over Control Priest though at 83 to 60 villages, so Control Priest probably could afford to start throwing down his markets if he wants to play a low village account and just at least get that 15 caravan count out now. Or maybe even just add another 15 villages himself. Because he's going to find it hard to get to age 4 with only 60 villages and with no caravans. Especially if he's got idle villages. So Grifta, I think his experience is starting to help him here because he knows a bit more about what long-term additions he's going to make in varying games and map layouts, you know, to keep the money flowing. Control Priest has got some really nice upgrades here already, and adding some more. Grifta adding Shield Rim, which pretty much useless until he starts actually pushing into Control Priest base, because Control Priest hasn't actually added any bowmen yet. The Scorpios, they deal crush damage because they're a siege unit, so it's just melee damage and crush damage here. Control Priest not getting barbed arrows for that reason. He doesn't need the range damage tech line at the moment, and he probably won't even need to use it all game. And Grifta, that's a good number of villages to be building, but I think they probably should have split them up so that he's got 4 or 5 building all the buildings rather than 12 or 15 building one of them. Just means you get a better efficiency out of the build speed. There's not as much diminishing returns as such, so it is something to keep in mind. And Control Priest is going to probably lose some villages here because Grifta setting in some Prodromos and then the rest of the army to follow up just in case this baits Control Priest into attacking. But in saying that, Grifta's cavalry are pretty split off from the rest of the army, and those Ekis being caught in the army like that's probably not so great. They didn't actually engage on the Toxotes. And GG, Control Priest taps out. So I think Control Priest, in terms of current villager production, just started to lag a bit against Grifta in the wake of all the fights. And then at the end he really probably just needed to add another 5 to 10 villages and then start his market production, I think. This is idler score. Yeah, so Grifta probably had more idlers overall, but I think he could afford to just because of the fact that he had that extra yeah, I really think if Control Priest just had another 5 to 10 villages or had have pretty much started his market income already, he'd have been fine to actually take this fight. And then if he had have been here, break his cavalry around a little bit quicker, and sort of spread the melee out and back it off if he needs to, do some melee V range kiting if you have to. Encourage the range player to have to keep creeping forward with his ranged units and chase you around the map without taking too much damage while, you know, you encourage him to move towards your own cavalry. But I mean, it was a bit unfortunate in the fact that Grifta saw instantly that he needed to bring these Prodromos around. Well, it's really, really nice play from him actually. And Grifta, wonderful stuff with an army that was actually behind on upgrades slightly, I think. Oh no, maybe at that last engagement I think he might have caught. Oh no, he was slightly behind on upgrades. And even, I think he might have cancelled the shield rim there for Control Priest on the way. Grifta eventually did cancel it because he, oh no. Where's Grifta's armories? Boy, where's your armories? Actually, no. Grifta didn't cancel it, so Grifta spent money on an upgrade he didn't need. And was behind on upgrades he did need by 1.